So they thought after his crucifixion, the Romans thought that they've rid the earth of that threat. They thought it was over. Listen, he's dead now. But here's the problem. Once they killed him, something happened. The truth concerning his ministry began to spread throughout the earth like wildfire. To a degree, the Romans had to question whether or not it was better off leaving him alone, alive, compared to how many people have come to this truth they feared before they killed him. So they said, listen, he's not the problem no more. Those disciples and what they're spreading is spreading like wildfire. Because not only did this Christ rise from the grave, he has a doctrine that cannot be refuted. Our wise men cannot refute this doctrine. Our sages fear this doctrine. We have to set the children of Israel up. We have to set up a political party, a clandestine party within Rome that not only watches Israel, but would demonize them so that Rome could have the moral high ground when going against their future enemy. Nero's reign of terror. How Christians became scapegoats for Rome's problems. Everything, even though Rome was evil, sadistic, perverted, they was into this PR where they had to use this facade of justice as a government when they were a bunch of freaks, sinners, unrepentant, evil workers. So when the evil would catch up with them, they would scapegoat our people. Anything wrong that they've created, they would put on the children of Israel. If they were dealing with and they had them, I'm going to show you where I'm going here. Rome perfected brothels. What are brothels? Well, if children were born to quote unquote bastards or orphans, these children would make their bones throughout Roman civilization or within the capital by first making their bones in the harlot houses, be it boy or girl. You could actually buy boys or girls in the market legally. It wasn't human trafficking. It was legal in Rome. As long as that child didn't belong to a family, if that child survived through the brothels, selling themselves and make it up into the political realm, and that happened often, that child would have to make bones, struggle through all of that trauma, and they would use that trauma because that person who dealt with all these other people had information. And that information was key to keep the republic intact. Spies. So they used their brothel houses to spy on their enemies. And their children and all of that, orphans, were a part of it. And of course, that's some evil, that's a stain on Rome. But anytime people would look into that stain on Rome when it comes to their perversions, they would say, well, listen, even though we've perfected perversions and made perverts of our own children, look at this black woman right here. That's really the bad within Rome. even though we've created this black woman to do what pales in comparison to us, they would always scapegoat our people, even though they were the what? They were the artificers. They were the creators of perversion. Oh yeah. Look at Cardi B. Look at Sexy Red. But just forget all the thousands of people and thousands of children that are being trafficked all throughout this earth by the same people giving you their scapegoat. That's just one example of many. But for the sake of time, let me get into it. How Christians became scapegoats for Rome's problems. Nero, the infamous Roman emperor who ruled from 54 to 68 CE. It was around 64 AD or CE when he burned some markets in the market. Well, they said that he was behind some spies he sent out, military, to burn a few markets in the marketplace and blame it on Israelites. So don't be confused when they say Christians, because these weren't just regular Christians. I'm going to show you. He's notorious for his persecution of Christians. Well, we were the Christians. How do you know that? When one go to Acts 13. When you go to Acts 13, let me pull this up real quick. It says here, now there were in the church that was in Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. This was the first church under Peter. The first church under Peter. And it tells us in in same chapter, same book, Acts 11 and 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that the whole year that assembled themselves with the church, the first church, taught many people, and the disciples were called Christians first at Antioch. So there was no such people as Christians until Peter and the disciples were called Christians at the first church, Antioch. Now, go back to Acts 13 and 1 again. Now, there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. Well, when you go into the word Niger, let's go there real quick. 1 second. Let's get it in the Greek. Acts 13 and 1. Let's get it in the Greek real quick. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. Greek word Niger or Niger, Greek 3526. Right here. Look at that. Niger. Niger. In the Latin, black. A matter of fact, let's blow it up so you can see it. See that? Look at it. Right, so you can see it. Greek. That's why over here they couldn't say it like that, like they do over in Europe. So they started calling us nigger. Niger, Niger, or black. The first church. Niger, a Christian. So when you go into history of the Roman Empire, when they talk about Christians, they're talking about black people. Okay? They're talking about black people. Romans were pagan Romans. So not to get it confused with Christians today. The Christians today would be considered Roman pagans. Okay? The Christians today are not a threat at all to the Roman powers, the European powers. Now, the Christians that Christ set up, well, that's a little something different. Okay? Now let's get back to where we were. Nero, the infamous Roman emperor who ruled from 54 to 68 CE, is notorious for his persecution of Christians, which we all know at this time were black. Nero's reign was characterized by political turmoil, economic instability. Sounds similar today, right? We have political turmoil in America, economic instability, and widespread social unrest. We're actually at the same point now in history as America than Rome was at this time period in the first century. We're almost in the same place politically Nero was. What was Nero dealing with? Political turmoil, economic instability, same thing, and widespread social unrest. So what would he do? He would blame everything that was wrong on our people, as if we're behind shaping legislation that leads to how wicked America or this world has become. As if we are responsible for the downfall of America. So politically, they were seeking to do what? Scapegoat our people. Killing two birds with one stone. Turning the people against those who believe in Christ and taking out their common enemy, because the Christians are the only ones at this time who could oppose their wickedness and exposing them, showing forth throughout the world their true intentions against the world. Their true intentions against people. During this time, Christianity was still a new and growing religion, and its followers were often viewed with suspicion and hostility by Roman authorities, by the police, by the Roman guards, the Roman military used as police. They would treat us differently than other Roman citizens. They would shake us down. They would ask us questions. They would see us as a suspect. Even without probable cause, they'll make up probable cause. Doesn't this sound familiar? Nero's persecution of Christians was a significant turning point in the early history of Christianity, and it had a profound impact on the development of the religion. The spread of Christianity in the churches leading up to Nero's persecution was a gradual process that was marked by both success and opposition. We were a focus.